Hello and welcome to today's video broadcast for the LitHabits for Writers blog. My name is Renee Long, the founder of the LitHabits blog and workshop, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. So today I'm actually up on my porch. It's a beautiful sunny day in Southern California. I wanted to come up here today because today's video is actually a really challenging topic for me to talk about. And so I wanted to be in a place where I felt comfy and open and really at ease to talk to you. It's getting real. So today I'm actually going to share with you my deepest, darkest fear. Like the stuff that keeps me up at night, can trigger me into a major anxiety attack, if I read something online or anything about this fear, I can really go into panic mode. And I've worked really hard to make sure I have strategies so that I don't totally spiral out when this fear gets triggered. But first, I want to tell you a little story. A few weeks ago, I was working on a lyrical essay, and my favorite type of writing is definitely more lyrical. Some of my favorite writers are Annie Dillard, Mary Oliver. I really kind of vacillate between writing poetry, writing creative nonfiction that's more lyrical, and writing fiction that bends into the lyrical. If you are in the creative life at all, you know sometimes we like to avoid the things we love the most. I was working on this essay a few weeks ago. I was in flow for about 2 hours, and it was one of the most exhilarating experiences. And I came out of it and I was like, oh, that felt so good. It felt like I had just spent a week at a meditation retreat, and it was like almost a release valve in my brain kind of opened up, and I was able to kind of release a lot of anxiety, release a lot of stress from that flow experience. And that's not always how my writing experience goes, but it was just a really beautiful time for me. And so what I ended up thinking was, why the hell don't I do this more often? Why is this type of work the area of creativity where I feel most open and excited about? Why do I procrastinate that the most? The reason we procrastinate doing our soul's work, the work that we know we are supposed to be doing, is always fear. Always, no matter what, whether you're distracted by having to run errands, having to go to the grocery store, having to respond to a work email, regardless of what the distraction or the procrastination is, it is always, always, always fear. That brings me to my actual deepest, darkest fear. So now I'm ready to share that with you. And that's why I came up here, because it's a very uncomfortable topic for me to talk about. Here is what I am afraid of the most. I am afraid to disappoint people with my writing, or say something that might make people angry or offended or feel hurt. I'm afraid of doing the wrong thing and being judged for it. I'm afraid of not living up to my own standards of integrity and what I believe to live a life of integrity, and having people judge and hate me for it. And so at the bottom of all of that is a fear of exile, right? Or a fear of ostracism, a fear that my tribe wants to throw me out, right? Wants to exile me. And it really does freak me out. So that fear of being kind of ousted from the human tribe, or being judged or criticized or disappointing someone, comes up for me whenever I do creative work. And it really bubbles up for me, and it makes me forget why flow and that feeling of actually being in the creative process is actually so healthy for me, and it makes me procrastinate. And intellectually, I know I'm never going to lose the love of my family members or my friends who know the real me and know that I'm doing my best and don't need me to be perfect. They need me to try my best and to reach my fullest potential, but they do not need me to be perfect. And they're never going to exile me. They're never going to truly, reject me for the person that I am. And intellectually, I know that. Our limbic brain doesn't actually understand language, so it doesn't understand on an intellectual level that the people that are most important to me are never going to reject me. And all my limbic brain knows is that being exiled from the tribe or being criticized or judged by the tribe is death, right? Because thousands of years ago when we were herd animals. And so when we were living in tribes, being exiled or thrown out from the group meant death. Now I want to ask you, I just shared my biggest fear with you. So I want to ask you, what is your biggest fear when it comes to doing your creative work? So do you feel like a huge fraud and that people are going to find out, even though 70% of us struggle with imposter syndrome, including great paragons of creativity such as Maya Angelou? Do you fear that you're just not disciplined or smart or talented enough to write a book or be a real writer? Maybe that resonates with you. Or are you like me and your deepest fear is that people are going to laugh or criticize or be disappointed or angry or think you're wasting time or be embarrassed for you if you write about X? So let me know what that is for you, or just think about that for a second. I also want to share something that was a big light bulb moment for me this year. I was reading Susan Jeffers' wonderful book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, and her thesis is that the root of every single human fear is this idea of I won't survive. Because again, we're going back to that idea of the limbic brain. It doesn't have language. All it wants to do is protect you. So its innate fear is, oh, this seems scary. This seems vulnerable. We might get thrown out of the tribe, which means I won't survive. In our subconscious, in our most ancient part of our being, of our species, is this innate fear of I won't survive or I won't make it through this. So even intellectually, oh man, if I get a rejection from this magazine I submitted to, or if somebody writes a mean review about me on Amazon, or if somebody says something mean about me on Twitter or in my workshop group, I won't survive it. That's what your limbic brain thinks. Even if intellectually your conscious brain thinks, of course I'll survive if somebody says mean things about me. Like, that doesn't kill anybody. Your limbic brain doesn't know that a criticism from someone else won't kill you. Because creative work is so vulnerable, your limbic brain is trying to protect you by sending up those fear signals saying, you're not going to survive this. Oh my gosh, stop. So I actually want to add on to Susan Jeffers' thesis and say that as we've developed as a species, we've added one more deep-seated fear into our subconscious, and that is, I don't deserve to survive this. And this is very unique to our modern culture. I don't really believe that ancient ancestors who lived in tribes and were hunters and gatherers, I don't believe they struggled with this idea of unworthiness. I think it's a modern problem, but it's such a pervasive problem that I believe it sits alongside that innate fear of I won't survive this. Now we have this new fear of I don't deserve to survive this. Does that resonate with you? Because I know in my own life, I've struggled with a lot of unworthiness, and I've talked to a lot of other writers and people and friends who've struggled with something similar. And to show this, you'll often hear suicide survivors, folks who have attempted suicide and thankfully failed, say that the reason they wanted to die and take their own life was because they felt that the world, including their loved ones, would be better off without them. So that to me proves this idea that we also have this innate fear of, I don't deserve to survive this. But with those two fears, with I won't survive this and I don't deserve to survive this, what do we do? What do we do if that's so innately programmed into our subconscious? How do we get around it? I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychology expert or have any kind of credentials in mental health. But what I do know is this, and what has helped me is awareness, reminding myself all the time that I can get through any challenge, and just reminding my limbic brain, no, you're okay. You are gonna survive a rejection. You are gonna survive an angry person on Instagram or Twitter. You're gonna survive if by chance you disappoint someone and you aren't perfect. It's okay to not be perfect. If I continually am aware that it's not a rational fear to believe that I won't survive doing my creative work, I can push through that. Tim Ferriss actually has a really excellent practice he uses called fear setting, which kind of bypasses that innate fear of, I'm not gonna make it, I won't survive this, by taking you through like getting to the bottom, to the bottom, to the bottom of your fear and asking, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? That kind of tricks your subconscious into being like, oh, I guess you will survive this. Go ahead, go do the thing. I will link to that in the transcript here too. The other thing that really helps me is the idea of clinging to non-writing habits, what I call bedrock habits. And those could be things like meditation, daily mantras, morning pages, lifesavers for this type of fear. Morning pages are huge. Walking has really been nourishing and helpful for me because these habits build up small wins for you to remind your limbic brain that you can survive a lot. If you can walk 3 miles in the morning every day or 3 times a week, sure as hell you can submit that piece to the Paris Review or the Rumpus or wherever you want to put your work out there and not necessarily have to fight against so much fear that you're not going to survive the rejection. The last thing is not to beat this fear down, not to tell it like, get out of here, you're terrible, you're making life miserable for me. I'm really coming to terms with the fact that the more we fight or try to go to battle with ourselves, the more we end up losing. And so instead of trying to be a warrior against your fear, invite it along for the ride. Remind it that the worst case scenario is not actually death. And if it is death, oh well, like what are we gonna do? But to remind yourself that it's okay, you can survive anything. You've already survived so many things up until this point. You can survive this, and just constantly be a friend to that limbic brain and keep going. And if you enjoyed this video, I would absolutely love you to join my LitHabits VIP membership. It's totally free. And the benefits to becoming a VIP are you get emails from me every single week. You're the first to know when articles and videos like this go live so that you can show up for your creative work, overcome fear, develop that writing habit that you've been trying to develop for years so that you can write your book, be a real writer, and share your soul's work with the world. So hop on my VIP list and you'll also get instant access to my workshop called How to Beat Has This All Been Done Before Syndrome. That'll be right into your inbox, and I would love to just hang out with you every week. And thank you again so much for watching. I love you. Have a beautiful day. Bye.